Hi, I'm Aditi Patel, and today we'll be talking about how is inflation affecting consumer spending and business revenue in Australia's retail sector. The chosen dataset models quarterly changes in inflation and retail revenue designed to reflect realistic Australian market trends. Even though it's a proxy dataset, it mirrors real economic behavior. When inflation rises, consumer spending patterns shift. Using this dataset allows us to isolate how inflation influences both consumer behavior and business performance, replicating the kind of analytical thinking used in real economic consultancy work. Inflation affects both sides of the market. On the demand side, rising prices reduce real purchasing power, shifting demand left as households cut non-essential spendings. On the other side, higher input costs move supply upward, pushing prices higher and lowering trade quantity. This explains why retailers see slower sales volumes even when revenues seem stable. Electricity helps interpret this further. Necessities like groceries remain inelastic while discretionary goods fall sharply when inflation climbs. At the border level, weaker consumption shows GDP growth and reduces business confidence, linking retail outcomes to overall economic health. Together, these frameworks clarify why the regression later shows a nominal rise in spendings but declining real consumption, highlighting how inflation distorts equilibrium and challenges business performance. The statistical summary considered in the slide has showed the fact that volatility of inflation in the Australian retail sector suggests that there are problems related to economic activity. It is considered that there might be sudden inflation, which can reduce the confidence of the buyer and, on the other hand, can have a negative impact on the consumer confidence and strain the business revenues. The changes in inflation often makes the customer become choosy with the products. They prefer to lean on the products that are much more aligned towards cheaper price and high quality or moderate quality. The first chart shows that inflation rose steadily until 2022 before beginning to ease. Macroeconomy theory explains that inflation often peaks during recovery phases of the business cycle. The second chart highlights that although nominal sales have increased, the relationship between sustained inflation and retail sector ability has weakened. Persistent inflation pressures pricing strategies. Retailers may be forced to lower prices or absorb costs, reducing profit margins. In the current market, unpredictable price fluctuations can discourage consumers, driving them towards cheaper alternatives. Overall, the moderate positive correlation between inflation and spending suggests that higher spending largely reflects price increases rather than real growth in demand. Businesses must interpret this carefully. Rising prices may boost short-term revenue, but risk eroding long-term customer loyalty and demand. As shown here, the regression output has indicated a statistical significant relationship between inflation and customer spendings. This reflects a higher cost rather than a consumption increase. The regression has also given the idea that income growth and supply constraints often influence spendings. The findings highlight that while inflation appears to increase nominal retail spendings, this rise often reflects higher prices rather than genuine consumption growth. In real terms, households face reduced purchasing power, which shifts demand towards lower-priced or essential goods. From an economic perspective, this illustrates both the income effect, where consumers cut discretionary purchases, and the substitution effect, as buyers switch to cheaper alternatives. For retailers, the challenge is maintaining profitability amid shrinking real demand. Businesses can respond by adapting dynamic pricing, improving cost efficiency, and diversifying product ranges to stabilize revenue. By integrating demand-supply theory with the regression outcome, it becomes clear that sustained inflation not only distorts market equilibrium but also pressures firms to rethink pricing and inventory strategies. These highlights demonstrate how economic analysis and Excel-based analytics together can guide smarter, data-driven decision-making in real business contexts. Overall, this project shows how combining economic frameworks with business analytics tools can generate practical insights for decision-making. By analyzing inflation's impact on consumer spending and retail revenue, I've applied demand and supply and business economy concepts to realistic data, the same way a business analyst or economic consultant would. Through regression and Excel-based analysis, I found that while nominal spending increases with inflation, real consumption weakens as purchasing power falls. This demonstrates why businesses need to interpret data critically and adapt pricing and product strategies rather than relying on short-term revenue growth. The project also strengthened my skills in data-driven reasoning, economic interpretation, and clear communication, all crucial for analytical and strategy-oriented roles. It reinforces that consumer confidence depends on values. People still want affordable and quality, and understanding that balance helps businesses stay resilient during inflationary pressures.